back in the village, chaos reigned. The marked villagers were writhing in pain, their marks glowing brighter than ever. Chief Odunike, pale and trembling, called an emergency council meeting. "We must end this madness," he declared. "Whatever secrets my family holds, they must be revealed." Reluctantly, the chief confessed what he knew. "My grandfather, Nduka, stole the idol and hid it in the northern caves. He believed it would protect our lineage from the spirit's wrath, but his actions cursed us all." The villagers listened in stunned silence. "If the idol is in the caves," Eze Ugo said, "then that is where you must go, but be warned, the spirits will not make it easy." Emeka and Nneka, accompanied by Okoye and a small group of brave villagers, set out for the northern caves at dawn. The journey was treacherous, with dense forests, jagged cliffs, and sudden storms slowing their progress. As they approached the caves, a sense of dread settled over the group. The entrance loomed like the mouth of a great beast, its shadows seeming to pulse with life. Inside, the air was thick and damp, and the walls were covered in ancient carvings depicting battles between humans and spirits. The group pressed on, their torches flickering. But as they ventured deeper, they began to hear the whispers again, soft at first, then louder, until they felt as if the voices were right beside them. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted. A hidden trap was sprung, and part of the group fell into a pit filled with jagged rocks. "Help us!" someone screamed, but the whispers drowned out their cries. Emeka and Nneka pressed forward, their resolve unshaken. At the heart of the cave, they found another chamber, its walls glowing faintly. In the center stood a pedestal, and atop it rested the sacred idol. The idol was breathtaking, carved from a single piece of obsidian and adorned with intricate symbols. Its presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. As Emeka reached for it, a deafening roar echoed through the cave. A shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, its form shifting and flickering like smoke. "You dare trespass?" the spirit bellowed. "The idol is mine." The shadowy figure loomed over the group, its eyes glowing like molten gold. Its voice reverberated through the cave, shaking the very ground beneath them. "Who dares claim what was stolen?" the spirit demanded, its form growing more distinct with each passing moment. Emeka stepped forward, his voice steady despite the terror coursing through him. "We do not claim it for ourselves, we seek to return it and lift the curse that has plagued our village." The spirit laughed, a sound like crashing waves and crackling fire. "Return it? You think such an act will absolve your sins? The bloodline of betrayal runs deep, one of you carries its stain." The group exchanged uneasy glances. "Prove your worth," the spirit growled, "or perish like the rest." The ground shifted again, and the chamber's walls began to glow with symbols, each one pulsing with an eerie light. The spirit raised an arm, and 3 paths emerged, each leading into darkness. "Only one path leads to redemption," the spirit said. "Choose wisely, for the others lead to doom." Emeka and Nneka examined the 3 paths, their torchlight barely penetrating the darkness ahead. Okoye knelt beside the glowing symbols, studying them intently. "These are riddles," Okoye murmured, his brow furrowed. "They hold the key to the correct path." The group huddled together, deciphering the symbols. One depicted a tree with twisted roots, another a serpent coiled around a heart, and the third a sun partially obscured by clouds. "The tree represents the growth," Nneka said. "The serpent perhaps betrayal?" "And the sun," Emeka added, "could signify hope or renewal." After a heated debate, they chose the path of the tree, reasoning that the grove was central to the curse. The tunnel twisted and turned, its walls narrowing, until they had to walk single file. The air grew colder, and the whispers returned, this time louder and more accusatory. "Thief," one voice hissed. "Betrayer," another snarled. Nneka clutched Emeka's hand tightly. "We must keep going," she whispered, though her courage wavered with each step. The chamber was vast and cold, illuminated by a soft, otherworldly glow emanating from the murals. The scenes depicted were horrifying: battles between humans and spirits, sacrifices made in desperation, and a final image of a man burying the idol beneath a great tree. As Emeka and the group approached the center of the chamber, the ground trembled. From the shadows emerged 3 figures, their forms ethereal and flickering like flames. These were the guardians of the idol, spirits bound to protect it at all costs. "None shall pass," one guardian intoned, its voice a low rumble. "You have come to steal what cannot be returned," another hissed. "We only wish to right the wrongs of the past," Emeka said, stepping forward. "Our village suffers, and we seek redemption." The third guardian, larger than the others, raised a glowing staff. "Redemption comes at a price," it said. "One must prove their purity of heart, another their strength of will, and the third their knowledge of the spirit's balance." 3 members of the group were chosen: Emeka for his courage, Nneka for her wisdom, and Okoye for his cunning. Each would face a trial to determine their worthiness. Emeka was led to a smaller chamber, where the ground was covered in ash. A solitary figure appeared before him, its form shifting between that of a man and a beast. "To prove your purity of heart," the figure said, "you must confront your greatest fear." Suddenly, the ash swirled around Emeka, forming a vision of his worst nightmare: Nneka lying lifeless, her body marked with the curse. Her eyes opened, glowing with an unnatural light, and she whispered, "You failed me, Emeka, you failed us all." Tears streamed down Emeka's face as he knelt before the vision. "I will not fail you," he said, his voice trembling but resolute. "I will do whatever it takes to save you, no matter the cost." The figure nodded, and the vision dissolved. "Your heart is pure," it said. "You may proceed." Nneka was taken to a chamber filled with mirrors, each reflecting a different version of herself. The reflections whispered accusations. "You're not strong enough. You'll never find the truth. You'll betray him to save yourself." The whispers grew louder until they were deafening. But Nneka closed her eyes, blocking out the noise. She reached deep within herself, focusing on the love she felt for Emeka and her people. When she opened her eyes, the mirrors shattered, leaving only a single path ahead. A voice echoed in the silence: "Wisdom lies in knowing oneself. You have passed." Okoye's trial was the most dangerous. He was taken to a chamber filled with intricate puzzles carved into the walls. Each puzzle contained symbols that, if misaligned, would trigger deadly traps. "The balance of the spirit must be restored," a voice instructed. "Align the elements, or face destruction." Okoye studied the intricate symbols on the walls, the weight of the trial pressing on him. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he traced. The air in the chamber was thick with anticipation as Okoye's hands moved swiftly over the ancient symbols. The walls seemed to hum, their energy growing more intense with each adjustment. The symbols were not mere designs; they were alive, shifting and altering themselves in response to Okoye's touch. As he completed the final alignment, the chamber fell eerily silent. For a moment, nothing happened, and Okoye held his breath. Then, a low rumble shook the room, and the stone walls cracked open, revealing a hidden passageway. A golden light spilled through, illuminating the path that had been concealed for centuries. "Balance has been restored," the voice from before intoned. "You may proceed." The group, now reunited, stepped into the newly revealed passage, hearts pounding with anticipation. The air was charged with an ancient power, and the path led them through a series of tunnels. The deeper they went, the more the walls seemed to pulse with energy, as if the spirit of Ekwensu itself were guiding them. But the further they traveled, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The whispers of the spirits grew louder, more insistent, until they were almost unbearable. Nneka, leading the way, could feel a heavy presence behind them, watching their every move. Suddenly the ground trembled beneath their feet, and a great stone door appeared, adorned with the same symbols that had been present in the Chamber of Trials. "This is it," Emeka said, his voice trembling. "The idol is beyond this door." With a collective breath, they pushed the door open, revealing a vast chamber bathed in a soft, glowing light. In the center of the room rested the idol, sitting atop a pedestal of stone. It was more magnificent than they had ever imagined, radiating an aura of immense power and ancient wisdom. But as they stepped forward, a voice boomed through the chamber. "You have come far, but only one shall leave with the idol. Choose now." The group froze, realizing the truth. They could not all leave with the idol. One of them had to make a sacrifice for the curse to be lifted. The voice echoed once more. "Only a true sacrifice can restore balance. One must remain behind to guard the idol, ensuring that it is never stolen again." A tense silence fell over the group. Everyone turned to face one another, knowing what the voice meant. Emeka clenched his fists, his heart racing. "I will stay," he said, stepping forward. "I'm the one who brought this curse upon us. I will pay the price." Nneka's eyes filled with tears as she reached for him. "No, Emeka, you can't. You've already given so much." But Emeka was resolute. "I've come to terms with my fate. If staying here means saving our village, then it's my burden to bear." The others hesitated, but deep down, they knew that Emeka's decision was the only one that would free them. The spirit's voice sounded again, softer this time. "It is done. The curse will lift, but only if you let go." With a heavy heart, Nneka kissed Emeka one final time, and with great sorrow, the group turned and left the chamber, leaving Emeka behind. As Nneka, Okoye, and the others made their way back to the village, the atmosphere changed. The air felt lighter, the oppressive weight of the curse no longer pressing on their shoulders. They could feel the spirits of the grove watching over them, their presence no longer hostile but protective. The village was waiting for them, unsure of what had happened or if they had succeeded. But when they entered the village square, they could already feel the difference. The once harrowing winds had calmed, and a sickness that had plagued the village was gone. The villagers rejoiced, unaware of the cost that had been paid. As the days passed, Nneka could not shake the sorrow that weighed on her heart. Emeka had sacrificed himself for the greater good, but his absence left an emptiness in her soul that nothing could fill. One night, as she stood at the edge of the village, looking toward the sacred grove, Okoye joined her. "You did the right thing," Okoye said gently. "He gave everything, so that the village could be free of the curse." Nneka nodded, her eyes distant. "I know, but it does make it easier. I've lost so much and Emeka was everything to me." Okoye placed a hand on her shoulder. "Grief is the price of love, Nneka, but sometimes it is through our loss that we find the strength to heal others." The wind rustled through the trees, and Nneka closed her eyes, feeling the presence of the spirits. Though Emeka was gone, his spirit lived on in the balance he had restored, and in the lives he had saved. Months passed, and the village slowly returned to normal. The crops flourished, the waters ran clear, and the villagers began to rebuild the harmony that had once existed before the curse. Chief Odunike, now freed from the grip of his ancestors' sins, led the people with a newfound humility and wisdom. But Nneka, despite the peace, could not forget the price that had been paid. She became a quiet leader in her own right, sharing the story of Emeka's sacrifice with the younger generation, so they would never forget the true cost of their prosperity. As the seasons changed, something strange began to happen. Small misfortunes began to plague the village again, crops failing, animals disappearing, and strange illnesses returning. The villagers dismissed it at first, thinking it was just bad luck. But Nneka knew better. "There's something more at play," she said, her voice tinged with concern. "The curse may have lifted, but something else is awakening." Okoye, who had remained in the village to aid its recovery, looked troubled. It may be that the balance was not fully restored. Emeka's sacrifice saved the village, but there are still unresolved forces in the world of spirits. The village was again on the brink of crisis. Nneka knew that her journey was far from over, and a new challenge would soon present itself, one that would test the courage of all who had been spared from the curse. One evening, a strange figure appeared in the village, tall, cloaked in black, and with eyes that glowed like fire. It was a spirit, but not one Nneka recognized. "I am Obaro," the figure announced, his voice cold and commanding. "I have come for what was never truly returned." The villagers recoiled in fear. Okoye stepped forward, his staff raised. "What do you seek, spirit?" Obaro's gaze swept over them. "The idol may have been restored, but the price of your peace is yet to be paid. I seek the soul of the one who freed this village from its fate." A chill swept through Nneka. Emeka's sacrifice had indeed left a void, and it seemed that Obaro had come to claim it. The air grew thick with tension as Obaro stepped closer, his form flickering like a shadow. "You cannot outrun your debt, the balance must be restored, and only the one who sacrificed will bring true peace to this land." Nneka's heart pounded as she realized the truth. Emeka's death had been the beginning, but the ultimate price had not yet been fully paid. Obaro was here to complete what had been started, and Nneka was the key to it all. The village stood on the edge of annihilation once again, and Nneka had no choice but to face the final trial, one that would require her to make an unimaginable sacrifice. Nneka stood before Obaro, her heart racing with fear and resolve. The village watched in tense silence as the shadowy figure's golden eyes glinted ominously. "The price must be paid in full," Obaro intoned, his voice low and filled with an ancient power. "Your beloved Emeka's sacrifice was but the beginning. The balance of the spirits has been disturbed, and now it must be corrected." The villagers, already weary from the trials they had endured, shifted uneasily. Okoye's grip on his staff tightened, but his face betrayed uncertainty. He had witnessed many strange things in his time, but this was beyond even his comprehension. Nneka stepped forward, her eyes locked on the spirit. "What do you want from me, Obaro? Emeka gave everything for this village. Why return to claim what he left behind?" Obaro's laughter echoed, cold and hollow. "Emeka's sacrifice was noble, but incomplete. There is a debt that must be paid by those who are still living. Your village is free, for now, but a new curse looms on the horizon, and only you can stop it." The truth of his words hit Nneka like a heavy blow. She had been the one closest to Emeka, the one who had carried the pain of his loss. And now she was being asked to make a choice that would alter the fate of not just herself, but of everyone she loved. "I've already lost so much," Nneka said quietly, her voice strained. "Why must I lose more?" Obaro's figure shimmered as he stepped closer to her. "It is the price of power, Nneka. Every gift from the spirits comes with a cost. The balance was broken long ago, and it cannot be mended without a soul. Yours is the soul I seek." The villagers, sensing the danger, began to murmur in fear, their eyes darting from Nneka to Obaro. Okoye moved closer to Nneka, his voice urgent. You cannot do this, Nneka. Emeka's sacrifice has already paid the price. We will find another way. But Nneka, deep in thought, knew that there was no other way. The truth was that Emeka's death, noble as it was, had not restored true balance. It had merely postponed the inevitable. A heavy weight pressed down on her chest, and with every passing second, the realization of what she must do grew clearer. She turned to Okoye, her eyes filled with sorrow. I must do this. The spirits are right. The curse is not lifted completely. I must give my soul, so that the village may be saved. Okoye's face twisted with pain, but he nodded slowly. Then we are truly at the mercy of the spirits. As Nneka prepared herself for the sacrifice that would free her village once and for all, a wave of memories flooded her mind. She thought of Emeka, his laughter, his love, the promise they had made to each other. And now, here she stood, at the precipice of her own fate, facing the spirit who demanded the ultimate price. Obaro's presence loomed over her, powerful and relentless. The pact must be sealed, Nneka. Once you give yourself to me, the balance will be restored, the curse will be lifted, and your village will know peace. Nneka's heart ached. She had never imagined that her journey would lead her here. She thought of the village, the people she had fought for, the life she had known. Could she really let go of everything? But then she thought of Emeka again. She remembered the promise she had made to him to protect their people and ensure that their sacrifice was not in vain.